of CLIMB. CLIMB is a leadership program that we've been doing for 3 years in partnership with SMU Academy. This year, we started to do a webinar series together with SMU Academy. Carrie from SMU Academy cannot be here today. This is in partnership with them. The idea is to invite our alumni, whether they are startup owners, entrepreneurs, business owners, or business leaders, to come and share their experiences. All of them have come through our program. So today, it is really my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. John Yang. John went through our—
Hi, Dion. Hi, everyone.
Hi, and he went through our program in January, so it is still quite fresh in his mind. And then I wanted to invite him over to talk to us about entrepreneurship journey. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Dion, for inviting. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all safe. Happy Friday.
Yeah, so a little bit of background. If you don't know John, of course, you can look him up. But he is the co-founder of Innoe. And he is in educational technology. His company provides products and solutions that help people to interact and communicate through technology. One of the star products that they have is ClassPoint. It's mainly a product for students and teachers to engage in a classroom. Currently, the company has 10 employees, and they've been in business for 5 years. I got to know John through ACE, which is, a seeding company that provides additional funding for them to grow their business. So I'm really excited to talk to him today and, share some ideas, his journey and his learning, so that this is an opportunity for our alumni, our community, or anyone who would like to listen and learn. So welcome to that. John, let me start it by asking you a little bit about your early years, how you get started. We always wanting to know, is entrepreneur born or trained? Did all of these talent that you have, I know that you are a great learner. That's really strike me with your talent as a learner. Has that come early on when you were young? Were you always curious? Were you always a learner, or were you always thinking about starting your own business?
Yeah, I think I've been a learner. I liked learning, but I didn't know what was entrepreneurship when I was very young. I didn't start like some of the success stories, like people start their own business at age of 10, at age of 7 or something. I didn't do that. In fact, I didn't know what is entrepreneurship, and didn't have the sense to start my own business until I was doing my PhD. So yeah, I didn't know that, but I was very curious. I did very well in my academics. I think all along I know I like to learn things, and that gives me a lot of fulfillment. But I don't believe entrepreneurship is born. But I think it's a combination and a combination of experiencing. I wouldn't say it's a born or trained. It can be experienced, and then it's a mindset. But this mindset definitely is not born. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and you were studying and got your PhD. When was the time you realized that, hey, I didn't want to go the route of academic, but I wanted to do my own thing?
During my PhD, yeah, that was a time when I think about what to do right after that. So I guess there are a few options. Working in a company. I never worked in any company before. I just thought there are many constraints, and I want to be someone who can decide what to do. So academic is actually one of them, one of the career which is very flexible. So you can decide what do you want to do. You can be your own boss most of the time. Yeah. So usually the big boss will give you a guideline, and you have to manage everything yourself. So that kind of fits me. Then when I know about entrepreneurship, I feel that fits me more because the application is in real life. Okay, you create something more people can benefit from. Compared to academic research, you create something too. You're very happy about your creation, but your creation or invention or something, your research only benefit very few people. That's the academic research, right? Only the frontier research people can benefit from it. So I feel like, they're both very similar in terms of the working style, but entrepreneurship is more risky and it's more rewarding, more valuable. That's why in the end, after I did a few years of postdoc, I decided that maybe it's time I try something myself. And that's how I started, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Were your parents have any influence on you, or were they supportive, or your family is supportive?
Yeah, my family was very supportive. I think the greatest thing my parents helped was that they didn't need me to worry about money. So I really don't need to work for money. That gave me a lot of freedom, right? So if you don't have the mindset that I have to make a lot of money, then you have tons of options. You have more options. You can pursue your study. You can start your own business. You can learn. You can major in whatever you're interested. So I major in physics because I think it's very fun. So I think that's how my parents helped me. Yeah, that's a very positive help.
Mm-hmm. So when you start your business, is it intentional? Is it an intentional process? You were very methodical, thinking about, the business idea, or was it just a splurge of a moment? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's just ideas. I think I was not experienced at all. I did a lot of things unprepared, right? Including a startup. I think most people will resonate with me. No matter how well you plan, it just can't be right. You still need a lot of time to experience and to adapt, to improve. That's just a process. I think I should have started a lot earlier, but of course everything happened for its own reasons. But I think for young people who want to start, best to start early, because you can't learn this from school and suddenly becomes an expert in entrepreneurship and then become very successful immediately. That's not the way it is. So starting early will give you more time to find out. I always say the early years of a startup is like a maze game, right? So you go inside, you try to find an exit, but there are a lot of dead ends. You need to have enough time and effort to try and find out the exit yourself. So for me as a start, I had no I had an idea, but I had no clue in many things. But I still started, and I still started full time. I think that's very important. You need to concentrate. You have to tell yourself there's no way back, and then you can unleash your full potential. You can really focus on what you're doing.
Being a learner, that's your top talent. How does being a learner help you start your business?
Being a startup owner, you need to learn a lot of things. I think all of us agree on this, right? Because we wear multiple hats, we do multiple things. And in school, we may be trained about something else. So I was trained in physics, right? I'm not using physics in my company right now. I use tons of other things. But the ability to learn is something that can always help you. No matter what you're doing, right? Even if you work in a company, you want to get more responsibility, you always have to learn. Always. That's also a reason why I'm so passionate about education technology, because a good technology will inspire Good teacher will also inspire students to learn rather than being taught. Yeah, so that is what I believe everybody should have the mindset to learn, and especially entrepreneurs. There's so many things to learn.
When you learn or when you think about a new idea, what are the 3 questions that you always ask yourself when you're ideating?
I think only one most important question to ask is what is the problem that the solution, whatever the idea is solving. Knowing the customer is the most important thing. So usually I will go immerse myself among our users, right? If you are the user yourself for the product, then obviously you can design a very good product. If you're not, then you need to know about them. Not just sending questionnaires, not just asking superficial questions. You need to like Chongming, right? Chongming, you are representing your users, right? So that's why you can make a very good product. I think being a user is good. If not, and then you need to ask questions. Just now you asked me 3 most important questions. I think one most important question is what is the pain that you are solving? And then the following questions will be how big is the pain? How frequent is the pain? Right? How good is the solution? So these are the criteria to determine whether a solution is good. Then of course you also need to ask the customers what are the alternatives they are using, right? And then you go and study the alternatives and create something which is better than them.
I like the flow of how you think. Now, you talk a little bit, maybe walk us through, you talk about, your thinking process, you make assumption, you have ideas, how do you get to the final point, and maybe elaborate on, the maze idea, how these great ideas come into fruition?
So the maze idea is the early stage. The first stage of a startup is you have a maze. You come into the maze. There's an exit. After the exit, it leads you to somewhere. It doesn't mean it's not a success. It just means you can properly get started, right? So there are a lot of dead ends in the maze. You have to really make a lot of mistakes. So you can't avoid making those mistakes. You have to experience. So give yourself enough time and always learn and think. Then you can quickly find out what are the dead ends. So all the struggles in the early days are actually getting you closer to the exit. And once you clear out you find out all the dead ends, you become clearer and clearer what you should do. So just now when I asked the questions, these questions, I didn't know I should ask this question from day one, right? So whenever you ask somebody for experience, they'll tell you some experience, but those experiences are learned, not learned and experience and learned. They also make mistakes. Maybe at the beginning, they don't know what are the right questions to ask, but through time, they know. So those are the dead ends you have to go through, and then you figure out what is the right way. And then you go through the right way to the exit of the maze. That's when you have a direction. You can see, at least you can see the road. So that's how I view the early stage of a startup and the idea of the maze. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that. Now, tell me a little bit about, how many ideas that you had, how many that worked, how many that didn't work?
I have many ideas. Some are good. Some are good based on my assumption. Some are to be improved. So it was not perfect, but after talking to a lot of users, I can improve it and include these ideas in the product. Some are bad. I would just dump them. Okay, those are details. But if you talk about products, we created a few products. I think some had a fair amount of success. My first product was a learning game that I developed 10 years ago, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. The market in Singapore is very small, so I just gave up and then started something new. Those products work well, but not fantastic. And we only have one product which is fantastic, which is ClassPoint. So it has a lot of potential. So now our whole team is working on this one product and try to make it better and better.
And you know, as we chat previously, I always thought when your view on mistakes and struggles are quite profound. You know, you said that they're not a negative, but it's actually a new way to move things forward. Can you elaborate on that? How do you see your failure? How do you see the mistake, the idea that didn't work? You know, you thought they were great.
Yeah. The way I see mistakes, just now I said they're in a maze, right? You're in a maze. So you make one mistake, you know there's one dead end, and then you made another mistake, another dead end. There are only finite number of dead ends, so they are just bringing you closer to the right direction. So if you don't give up, I think the only way your startup can fail is you give up, right? If you don't give up, you can always pivot or always change your idea. Yeah, don't just stay with a bad idea. You may have a bad product, but you can give up on the product, but don't give up on your startup. You can do something else, right? You do something else, and then if you don't give up, all these things are just making you more and more successful. But if you give up, then that's the end, right? If you give up, then your startup failed. So I think the way I see difficulties or mistakes, struggles, is that if you have a faith in yourself and you see the mistakes positively, they are all the steps you have to take before you can succeed, before you reach the point that you know what you're doing. Yeah, because nobody taught us these things in school. So we have to experience and learn by ourselves. Yeah, if we give up, and then that's it. That's the end. So all of the previous happened things become failure, and then you can do something else, which your previous experience may not help, because it totally changed something that you're doing, right? You totally go and do something else, and then those past experiences cannot help you. But if you don't give up, they will all help you eventually. Eventually, you'll realize, oh, none of these things are should be avoided. You should not avoid them. You should welcome them. Yeah.
And you know, tell us, you know, in the 5 years journey that you had, what are some of the key milestones or inflection point? You always think about startup, you know, they go through different inflection point, and where is the point you feel, because at the beginning is always very shaky, right? You know, it's like you have some success, then you go backwards. You know, where is a point you feel, hey, we're on the right track, we might be able to make it?
Oh yeah, when you see your product has significant growth, you know, then you can feel it, right? And then when you receive a lot of emails or people talk about you on social media, commenting on your product, they love you, they love the product. When you send a mass email, people reply and tell you how good they think you are, and that's the inflection point. Yeah, that's when we realize, oh, we're doing something right. Yeah.
Great. Now I have a questions on in the chat box, and this is related. Thank you for the question. This is related to what we want to talk a little bit about, the team, because you know you do have a team, and you know I was very impressed with what you share in the class. You know how you recognize, you know, your team, what they're good at. And one example that you gave is you said that, hey, I know myself, I'm a learner, but I don't like, you know, networking with people. And you said, you know, one of our growth strategies is never about networking. So you really know what you're good at and focus on, you know, your strengths, but, you know, have a strategy to manage around, you know, your softer area. So in terms of team, you know, how do you put the team together? You know, how do you find your partner? How do you manage your team? How do you make sure that they're engaged? You know, so this is related to the question here. You know, they would like to know what are some of your biggest challenges related to people management when you start your business?
Yeah, thank you, Fifi, for the question. I think in terms of people management, I would like to see everyone as part of, how to say, we're all working together for our customers. None of them are working for me or working for the company. If you have this mindset, we have a very flat structure, right? So probably I decide on a lot of things, but I want everyone to be in charge of something. Also, they have the full ownership. So this is very similar to when I was doing PhD. So, you know, PhD, they're like, because they are working on projects, right? The supervisor only decides what you are doing, but exactly how do you do it? Like in my case, I need to decide on what literatures I need to review, what equipment I need to buy, what interns I need to hire, until like, what do I do every day, right? What papers I need to write. All of these things, I have the ownership to decide. So I think this kind of management or leadership is very suitable in startups because everyone is so busy. You need to give everyone the authority to do things. So being able to know what everyone is good at is helpful. I mean, of course, you can ask around. I'm sure in a early stage startup, everyone knows each other very, very well, right? So then we distribute the load. You do this, I do that, and I do that. That's where Dion, your class is very useful because it assess people, right? Assess the talent. So as a leader, you don't put people in the wrong place. You need to know what their strengths are and let them do what they're good at. If the whole team is not good at something, you need to hire someone who is good at this thing. Or you give up on that, you don't do the thing that nobody's good at, right? So in our company, I share that nobody is like the icebreaker person who goes to a networking session and become the star in networking and gain a lot of customers. So since none of us are good at that, we don't do that. We don't do it. Yeah, we focus on products. We focus on building a product and let people love the product. So that is our strength. That's really important to know what people are good at, your team are good at, and give everyone enough authority to decide on things. Yeah, if you don't give them authority, I think one thing to pay attention is people, especially your employees, will make mistakes, right? Sometimes you should not correct them before they make the mistake. Like what I'm doing with my daughter. So she make mistakes. I never correct her. I need to let her realize that this is not the right way to do something because there's a mistake that she's made. And then whatever you say, she will take, right? If you try to avoid, and then sometimes it will just lead to the opposite. It will become worse. So allowing everyone to make mistakes, we allow ourselves to make mistakes. We also need to allow our colleagues to make mistakes, right? Make mistake, and then we can align ourselves and do better. So in a way, they will earn more respect from you, and then they will feel more ownership. And then I always say to the team, if the team grows bigger, every existing member will become sort of senior management. And all of us need to have leadership. All of us need to see other team members as yourself, right? As yourself, and then use and do what you are good at, and have enough ownership of what they are doing. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, Fifi, about people management.
Yeah, very much. I think, you know, that having that purpose, as you are all working for the user, so there is the common goal, common objective, and then, you know, knowing what people are good at and develop your strategy around there. And then you talked about empowerment, giving people ownership, you know, it's their accountability. You know, they are in charge of something to make a difference for the user. So thank you for sharing that. Now we have a lot of questions here. Maybe I jump in a little bit so that, you know, we can make use of all of our time today. So this is another question. He said that if you can go back in time, John, would you learn from John Yang 2021? Or would you have to make every mistake and learn everything yourself by doing? And would you still make the same mistake?
Thank you, Pauline, for the question. There's no such assumption, but if really there's this assumption, I think I will make all the mistakes still, because if somebody correct me and say, you should do this and this and this and this will not work out, just don't do it. I mean, I will take some of the advice, but I know me still, I will do something. I may not believe in everything. Like at this right moment, right? I totally believe in something I'm doing. And Pauline, you said to me, actually, you come from the future and tell me we should not do this. Like, why do I listen to you, right? Why do I believe you rather than myself? I believe I have all the information, and my judgment is based on the information that I have at this moment. So I really think for every one of us, it's like, you know, some things you have to experience, some things you have to learn through experiencing. I wouldn't say through making mistake, but because something you just got it right in the first place, right? And this experience is something which is so fun in the entrepreneurship journey. It's not just a success, because the first time success may be a luck, right? Beginner's luck. You did something right, but if you made some mistake and then you learn from the mistake, you avoid it from in future, that I think that's more rewarding. Right? I'm not rushing into any kind of success. I'm just enjoying mistakes as well as a learning process.
I think many of the audience agree with you. Dick said that, yeah, it is, you know, learn from the mistake and try to avoid them. Pauline said, really, thank you for your candid answer. So the journey is as important as the destination.
Exactly like you said, journey is as important as destination. If you have a destination and your purpose is for destination, you'll miss a lot of things during the journey. Like when you take a flight to somewhere to work or see your family, you want to get there as fast as possible. Then you don't enjoy the journey, right? You can't enjoy your journey because you're so eager for that destination. But I think for startup, you need to have some patience, and really the way to have patience is to be able to appreciate the journey itself.
Yeah. So mistake is fun. That's a good one. Okay, Zihan, from you. Zihan, he asked, related to stakeholders management, what are your considerations for selecting the right partners? And what are some of the questions you might ask to figure out if it's a good fit? You know, like your strategic partners.
Thank you, Jahan, for the question. For selecting partners and selecting early employees, colleagues, I think I only have the most important criteria I look at is personality, attitude. I believe everything can be learned, right? Dion said many times I'm a learner. I believe everybody can be a learner if you inspire them. Everyone is smart. Everyone has, if they have the drive, they'll learn. So if they are the fit for your culture, is really important. You don't want to work with someone you don't feel comfortable with, right? So this chemistry, this feeling of you guys together is like you understand each other, right? Sometimes you just by looking at this other person, he or she will understand what you mean. It's really, really important because we want everyone to work as one person, right? We're like the eyes and arms and legs, but eventually the company is a system, and all different parts of the company must work together as one. So how do you achieve that? Obviously, a match of personality, a match of working attitude, working style is way more important than the past experiences or skill sets they have. So must be careful with the skill sets and past experience, but they are not the most important thing. They can always be learned, be trained. If this person has a talent, but even before talent, the match in personality is a top thing that I'm looking at.
Zian, does that answer your question? You can unmute if you like. I don't know if you're listening. Maybe stepped out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't know I could speak. Yeah. Thanks for the answer, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Zian. Okay, Sylvester has another question. What you just said, being stubborn, is an attitude of an entrepreneur. I think maybe what John's saying, maybe not giving up. But is it good for a leader in a team? That's a question.
Okay, I think Sylvester, your question is related to what I said, how I responded to Poing's question about him telling me the future, right? And I won't listen. So being stubborn, yes, it is common in entrepreneurship, but I do think the flip side is persistence, which is very important because a lot of times nobody is sure if your idea or your judgment is correct or not. Other people may tell you, or 10 people may tell you you're wrong, but maybe 10 people are wrong, right? You're the one right, correct. So in a team, I would say a good leader is a listener, definitely a listener. So you want everyone to speak up. You want everyone to talk and to tell you their opinion, and you need to have the final judgment, right? Otherwise, why does a company have a CEO, right? But the CEO need to consider everyone's opinions, and then this final decision, if it makes sense, right? It's nothing personal. It's not like I must stick to my decision, or I don't like you, so I don't take your advice. Not like that. It must be very rational. And then whatever final decision made is based on the discussion, based on most of the time in our company, most people will all agree on the decision, and the CEO would take the decision. It doesn't mean that it has to be the CEO's decision, right? If every time is CEO's decision, then there's a problem because it's not right? There's only two reasons why always the decision is always the CEO's own opinion. One, all the other people are dumb, right? And two, the CEO doesn't like other people's ideas. In both of the cases, it's wrong. It must be a rational decision. Sometimes it might be my idea. Sometimes it might be Dion's idea or somebody else's idea, right? It's common. But once you make the decision, you have to have the execution, that everybody embrace the decision and work towards it. And that is I don't call that stubborn. It's not stubborn. Always sticking to your own opinion is stubborn, and that should be avoided. Only in very, very rare cases, like maybe you're a genius, right? 10 people or 100 people say you should not do this, and you did it, you succeeded, and that I would say that's an exception. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Does that help, Sylvester? I hope it answered your question. I like how you said that, hey, it is part of me, entrepreneurship quality, but it's how you apply it when you are in a leadership capacity with your team. How do you treat that talent into a practical situation? So thanks for sharing that, John. Okay, let me look at the question. There's another question from Edith. And she said that I have an entrepreneurial type of employee, but she is rather reserved, even though she does have autonomy to make decision and goal. How can you, as the boss, communicate no fear?
Okay, this is thank you, Edith, for the question. I think let's take an example of a father and a child. All right, so the child sometimes will avoid doing something without your permission, or sometimes will tell a lie. And what's the reason for that? So the number one reason is if she does something wrong, you'll scold her, right? You will say, next time you should not do this. You should pay more attention, this and that. Or they will tell a lie because you are not happy. So giving this person more, so this employee is more reserved, maybe because she doesn't want to make a mistake, all right? So what did you do when she made mistake? Maybe you can reflect on this and let her reflect as well. So if you are a very open person, you didn't actually, give any, when you give feedback, sometimes you have to be like positive, and then negative, then positive, right? You just say, oh, you did this on your own, very good. But I just have one suggestion here, which can be improved. Yeah, but carry on with this. So if this is the feedback, I think this person will have more confidence built throughout the time. Yeah, maybe she doesn't have enough self-esteem. Try to avoid mistakes, but entrepreneurship is not trying to avoid mistakes, right? As I said, so I think as a leader, just give her real freedom, not just by saying, but by allowing her to make some mistakes, but still recognize her work. That just me. I'm coming from a employer point of view. I think both of us are employer, but from an employee point of view, you need to look into her personality. Whether she is like, because of previous experience or something, previous boss, she's afraid of making mistakes and getting fired, right? You have to let her know that this won't happen, and then she may loosen up. Yeah, if you create some tension, you need to lose up yourself as well.
So Edith has some comments. She said it's true, positive, negative, and what can be done next.
Yeah, it is. So you are positive. You are very positive. You give people freedom, but maybe she has some prior experience, which caused her to be like this, right? Like the previous boss is a dictator, and then she thinks you are also like that, right?
So Sylvester has a follow-up question. I guess it's related back to being stubborn and how do you put that in a team dynamic, and you have explained how to not let that affect the team dynamics, when you describe that process. You said you listen, and then, but at the end of the day, you have to decide. And once the decision is made, everybody go with one direction.
How does this affect the team dynamics? Is that your question?
Yeah. Sylvester.
Sylvester, can you maybe you can elaborate on the team dynamics? What will affect the team dynamics? Do you mean that holding on to my own decision will affect the team dynamics? If that is the thing, right? If 10 out of 10 times you stick to your decision, then it's bad, right? Yeah. If 10 out of 10 times you stick to your decision, unless you're Steve Jobs or you're normal people like all of us, then it's bad because you can't be correct 10 out of 10 times. So if you don't let other people to execute, you don't use other people's idea, then you should not work with this person, right? If every time the employee's idea you say is bad, it's bad. That means if your judgment is right, it's not the right employee you should work with. If they're the right employee you should work with, you need to let them do the thing. And then, because if you don't, they're just like minions, right? You're the boss, they're the minions. So in future, whatever decision they will let you make, because if they propose something, you always say no, right? Then of course it will affect the team dynamics. It won't be a team. It will just be one person making decision, one person doing all the work, and the other people like they are minions and just executing, without thinking, which is bad. We cannot afford this in the startup.
Great, thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks for the question, comments, Esther. Fifi has another question. Said that he'd like to know how you prepare talents within your leaders. Some talent maybe think different view relate to business values in future.
The commonality in value is more important than talent. Yeah, so the just now I said the chemistry of you guys working together is very much dependent on the value. So you believe in something, like if you are very profit driven, then you should also find people who are very profit driven, right? Profit driven, revenue driven. If you're not, you should not find someone who's very profit driven, right? If you are determined to create value, help others. In our case, we're EdTech, we try to help teachers. Then you should find like-minded people in. So the talent is secondary in this case, right? So the talent say, oh, we should not help teachers, we should help students, right? We should help students to learn, and we should charge parents. And that's a whole different direction. And that's the direction it's both value and business direction, business model. Yeah, so even on the business model technical level, it is already not aligned, all right? So we should agree on this value, the business value first, and then talent will come in. So don't let the talent affect, the direction of the company or the value of the people in the company.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Fifi? It's alignment of value. You have to understand the values first. Good. I hope it did. You can let us know on the chat. So maybe I pick up. He's clear. I picked up another questions. Maybe while we have another 10 minutes or so. So feel free to post more of your questions for John to answer. Now thinking about the future, thinking about, where we are right now, what trends and changes are you seeing in the world that excite you and give you a sense of confidence in the possibilities for the future?
Yeah, from a team building point of view, from a leadership point of view, I think it's more and more easier for us to work with talents from anywhere in the world, because we are very digital right now, right? So even we have these seminars, it's all like online. Otherwise, before COVID, I think it's very hard to gather everyone, during lunchtime to go to a seminar. It takes a lot of effort, right? And we can't have so many people in the chat as well. So I think moving forward, I definitely think talents can be found anywhere in the world. So it's really a matter of if the value align, if the values are aligned. So don't restrict yourself on it. I think all of us are used to working from home, right? That's just the first step. Within our company, very small company, we have a few nationalities, I think about 5. We're based in different places, but we're working together. Nobody asks, it's 8 o'clock, are you working? Or something like that. It's 2 p.m. Are you taking a nap? Nobody asks this kind of question, right? You just work. Everybody know what you should do, regardless of where you're from. What is your job role? Time zone also different. But I myself, I'm very impressed how different cultures of people can work together. It's like we're working together as brothers and sisters. That's really amazing. I think moving forward, more companies can do that. All right, very easy. That's how I see future from a company, from a employer point of view. Yeah, for the market, also it's gonna be a lot more digital, right? In edtech, I think it's quite clear. The digital learning, right? We just entered home-based learning day 2, and it's really gonna be, I mean, it's still a struggle, but if you do this a few more times, it will become like very easy for everyone, right? So everyone will be more tech savvy. People will be more online, and that's how I see, in software business, it's gonna become more easy to succeed. If you're in a hardware business or a business that you need to visit your customer, probably you can think about how you can digitize your workflow as well. Yeah, finally, about when COVID is gonna be over, I don't have the answer. I think none of us has the answer to that, and we just need to keep an open-minded, really, right? Keep an open mind, and then quickly adapt. Be very agile, right? Quickly adapt to what's gonna happen, and all our decisions should be made based on the current situation rather than what you have done in the past. Don't stick to what you have done in the past. So, like I made my first software, it didn't work out. I just gave up on it. I didn't give up on the company. I just gave up on the product, right? That's different. So still have full faith in what I should be doing. But if something, because the market changes, right? The world changes. Because of this, the product no longer works. Yeah, just give up on that and do something else.
Great, thank you for your sharing. So I'm going to thank you so much for all of your questions, but I will open up to all of you. If you have any other questions that you can post on the chat, or now you can unmute and ask the questions. We can have a dialogue. So anyone, I'm just opening my chat box. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, maybe this question can be asked to everyone here. How do you see the future, and how are you adapting your business post-COVID?
Yeah.
And so I guess most of the audience here are business owners, right, Dion?
Yeah, we have business owners, business leader. We have people from Singapore. We have people from Indonesia. So yeah, we have a variety of of audience here.
Mm.
Okay. Well, if there is no question, this webinar has been recorded, so the full webinar will be posted on our website. So feel free to share that with your friends if you feel that they would like to listen to some of the sharing and advice from John. And I want to thank you for your time, John. I want to thank everybody to take your lunchtime to log in and listen to the webinar and all of the questions that you have. And then we hope to see you next time. John, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dion, for inviting, and really appreciate everyone to be here. And thank you for all your questions.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks, Ian. Thanks.